The Joe Rogan Experience.
Whoa, Joe Rogan is going to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Interesting. I wonder if the rats are escaping the ship.
The Epstein stuff is so crazy because when
Thank you,
Cash
Demon
Patel
Girl
was on
Lemmy.
here, and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work because there's nothing I can. The guy's saying there's no tapes, there's no video. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows it doesn't make any sense. And then he didn't know about the Michael Baden stuff, the autopsy stuff, where it showed that he had 3 broken bones in his neck, which never happens when you hang yourself.
Who's Joe Rogan interviewing here? Mike Baker, who I think is like former, in air quotes, CIA. So the guy who is having a conversation with Jeffrey Epstein is like, this is the thing that I don't understand. When people talk about like, when conspiracy theorists talk to like former CIA agents, I just don't understand, like, about a guy who was most likely a CIA asset. Like, what is he going to talk to him about? Why is it the CIA guy that you're asking? It's just, I don't know. It's like weird to me that a lot of the people who are interested in conspiracy theories will just go, oh no, this former CIA guy is definitely reputable. If you haven't gone to jail, and even if you have gone to jail as a whistleblower, I still don't fully trust you as a CIA agent. Joe Rogan doesn't seem to want to connect Trump to Epstein. This is not the guest you want on to talk about this. Oh, thank God. Okay, even his fans are not eating this. He's supposed to be having Alex Jones on, not a Fed, except Alex Jones is also directly connected to Trump and has been doing defense for Trump. Okay, Rogan, sure, let's bring up the CIA for the truth. Why doesn't the president want the files released? Why don't these chumps address the zoonacia-sized elephant in the room? What is zoonacia? Notice they didn't utter the name Trump once this entire segment. Absolutely pathetic. Oh, it's the elephant island from One Piece. Fake fan? Okay, calm down, guys.
Do you think there's just a lack of coordination?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
that makes sense.
I think it's a messaging problem is always kind of a key element of the Trump administration, whether it's this one or not. And now look, that's not I'm not knocking a lot of the policies. I like a lot of the policies that come out of this administration. This one in the previous, the first administration. But I'm just saying, a hallmark of a Trump administration is the ability to have a self-inflicted wound, shoot yourself in the foot because of messaging usually, right?
Right.
So I think they've done it again.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Oh, man. It seems quite weird that the guy who sent sexual messages to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday is being awfully weird about the revelations of all Jeffrey Epstein affiliates, himself included.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
I wonder why. Perhaps there is some way to solve this conspiracy. I wonder what the reason could be, guys. I just don't know. I mean, there's only 2 reasons. One, because obviously Donald Trump is also tasked as the president of the United States of America in defending the same corporate criminals and incredibly wealthy financial elite as every other president is tasked with. That's his primary function, that's his primary purpose. That's number 1. And number 2, he himself is directly involved with Jeffrey Epstein. What the do you mean? Like, what could it be, I wonder? A big mystery. What's next? You mean to tell me that you took him seriously as a CIA guy when he said he is going to fight the deep state and drain the swamp? Like, you're not a baby. He's not a baby. Joe Rogan is a little bit like a baby, but he's not a baby. He knows what he's saying.
Yeah, you think this freak show of Epstein wasn't like, it didn't have hidden cameras or wasn't taped and or what? I mean, come on.
So, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing about that house. That house they had in New York City, which is, by the way, for sale. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, nobody wants to buy it. Like, you want to buy Epstein's house?
Do the cameras convey?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you got to gut the walls. How are you going to know what the is in there?
Yeah.
Imagine you walking around your house naked and you think that the CIA is, or your organization, or whoever it is.
To be fair, the agency's got a lot of hours of videotape of me walking around naked.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you think that was all about? Who do you think was involved in that? Do you think it was the Mossad? Do you think it was some rogue intelligence agency in America? Was it a coordinated effort?
You know what? I know this. There's a lot of talk about. Did he have some sort of intel connection? Right.
Right.
That from my perspective, it's complete speculation. But I will say, like from an operational perspective, I have no.
Dude, you You were in the CIA. Just have Jeffrey Epstein on at that point. Joe Rogan interviews Ghislaine Maxwell. Is like, so it's really strange, huh? Like, I'm just so confused. We're all trying to figure out like what kind of intelligence associations could this guy possibly have? I don't know. Having Ghislaine Maxwell on to talk about her conviction, her criminal conviction as an act of cancel culture.
No idea. Was it Mossad? Was it anybody? Who knows?
Right.
But from an operational perspective, if you see a guy like this who's super connected and all the way back to 2008 was like his first trial, right? So he's had a long history of these problems. But if you know that he's kind of engaged in a variety of things, as an example, if I'm Chinese intel, right, and I just read the goddamn entertainment news, and there's these rumors and allegations of high-level people flying off to his island, I'm going to think that's interesting because potentially,
dude, Jeffrey Epstein is a Chinese asset. Dude, why didn't I think of that? Oh, dude, foreign intelligence doesn't mean Israel, and certainly not the CIA. It's actually China. Wow, now we know why Mike Baker is on the Joe Rogan Experience. Huh. Yeah, he's like, Joe, you don't understand. CIA? You think Central Intelligence. No, Chinese intelligence. Intelligence, but Chinese style. Make no mistake.
And it's so funny to me that it's always comes down to like carnal needs and carnal desires.
Yeah.
It's always sex. Yeah. Because these guys, when you get to like this Bill Gates level and Bill Clinton level, you can't just go pick up gals at the bar.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what
a little
I mean?
tough. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you're a super famous super freak and
Bro. He's literally repeating the other conspiracy theorist guy that said this verbatim last week. He's just to the CIA guy. He's like, yeah, you can't just like go random girls for Bill Gates. Like, why not? I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? Here's an example of someone who is a billionaire, and I'm not saying this because he's my boss technically. Jeff Bezos. What did Jeff Bezos do? He went and he found a Dominican lady. That's what he did. Age appropriate. Like, you can do that. You can do that as a billionaire. This doesn't mean that he is not a truly evil individual. Of course, Jeff Bezos is a truly evil individual. But the reality is, like, there's a guy out there. She's Dominican. No, I don't know if she's Dominican, but she is Latina, and I do know that for a fact because she turned Jeff Bezos Dominican. There's Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg has stayed with his wife. She turned Jeff Bezos Dominican. That's why I'm saying. That's why that's in my mind. Both Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg have been hit with the Dominican ray. Okay, that's just what billionaires do now. She got him dressing like a paisa.
Chasing skirts, but you can't do it. Like, what do you do?
Well, you do what he did, right? Which is you get somebody to procure for you, which apparently was primarily Maxwell's job.
Yeah.
And she's out there, and she was described, usually as his girlfriend, but she was clearly operating as his pimp or whatever the female version of a pimp is.
Curator.
Curator, yeah, it's a curator.
Yeah.
And so he's, she's out there doing that. But look, again, I can't speak to the rumors about him working for one intel agency or another, but I will say, if I'm working for an intel agency and I see something like that, I might find that of interest, right?
Oh, really? So you would, not that you did or your colleagues did, but you would, that could be an interesting guy. Oh, you mean to tell me that a dude who was running a blackmail sex trafficking ring would be an interesting asset to the CIA, which you were employed by? Well, if you say you would be interested, that must mean that he probably wasn't, right? You're just kind of saying that he wasn't without actively saying that he wasn't. You're implying that he might not have been, while also simultaneously saying that he was most likely a Chinese asset potentially. This is so stupid. Just in a mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists from the New York Post. The consequences, should the hypothesis turn out to be correct, could potentially be dire for humanity, the researchers wrote in the inflammatory paper, which was published July 16th, to the preprint server ARXIV Southwest News Service reported, to which Evan replied with, he's literally on every page of the Epstein files. Archive. It's archive. I got it. I understand. I've told you this already, but since the UAP congressional investigations, I have been incredibly suspicious of the government constantly talking about aliens. I think they think it's a good way to just like change public perception on an issue and get people to pay attention to some nonsense. The aliens community was taken over by Nancy Mace and her Chud Army. I just don't believe any of that UAP shit. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I'm not saying that there are no such thing as aliens or whatever. I just, I have my own theories on this. I've talked about it extensively. It pisses off a lot of people in my community because they're like, there are a lot of people, but I think all mention of UAPs and aliens from the federal government is a psyop. 100%. It is just a way for you to get really excited about some secret conspiracy. It's just nonsensical. They are just doing it to make you pay attention. Half of it is most likely already like pre-existing defense contractor, new technology that was seen by people or whatever. And they're just like, oh, that must be an alien. Who knows? It's suspicious. But I'm telling you right now, all the alien stuff is just like used as a distraction for the government. And many of you are coping because you're eating that bait hook, line, and sinker. Dude, of course I want to clap alien cheeks.
It's the easiest connect the dots puzzle of all time.
Yeah.
You got rich, powerful people and hot chicks and probably drugs and cameras.
Yeah. And I tell you, the Russians love nothing better than, the truth.
By the way, I will say this once again. Anytime a former intelligence member points the finger at China, sometimes they do it at Russia too, or Iran, especially China and Iran, just know that these guys are they're not invested in uncovering America's involvement in anything. Come on.
The reality is, in terms of recruiting an asset by using blackmail is tough, right? You gotta that window starts closing immediately, right? In terms of their operational usefulness, right? Because there's a lot of issues there, right? You're blackmailing somebody for their cooperation. At some point, that's gonna go south on you, right? It's not like you've recruited somebody for ideological reasons, right? Or even something as straightforward as like they need the money because their kid's sick or whatever it may be. So blackmail's right. But having said that, look, the Russians in particular love that, right? And Chinese intel, they'll do whatever works from their perspective. The agency, again, people are going to say that's bullshit. The agency tries, the blackmail is never really ever on the table as an option because it always leads to a problem. And
what? That is the biggest bullshit. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is crazy. Oh, dude, notoriously, we don't do any blackmail in tradecraft because it's just it's ineffective. Just don't look at that. Don't look at, nah. We just don't ever do. Nobody ever does blackmail, okay? Especially not Israel, and certainly not the CIA. It's frowned upon. The CIA never does blackmail, Joe. They just use criminals instead. That's always funny, because like all of the assets are literally blackmailed by the criminal justice system, technically. Like, what do you mean? What's a confidential informant? Every CI is getting a deal. It's so funny to be like, oh, dude, yeah, we blackmailed people are famously unreliable. It's like, no, they're not. They're actually the most common way that people utilize both law enforcement and also certainly federal law enforcement most commonly utilizes blackmail by dangling people's criminal convictions in front of them.
And sometimes those problems can be very, very bad.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, the asset will turn on you, right? Next thing you know, you've got an agent working now, a double agent working for the other side, right? Because they're so over by the fact that they've been blackmailed. And at some point, they lose their shit. They decide to roll for the other side.
But aren't you like constantly monitoring them and looking at their phone?
There's only so much. No, not really. There's only so much.
Even Joe doesn't believe it. Look at his face.
Next thing you know, because they're so over by the fact that they've been blackmailed. And at some point, they lose their shit. They decide to roll for the other side.
But aren't you like constantly?
Even Joe doesn't believe it. Look at him. He's like, what do you mean? Isn't there a way to constantly surveil your confidential informants, your assets, to ensure that they don't turn on you? Huh.
Monitoring them and looking at their phone.
There's only so much. No, not really. There's only so much you can do, right? In terms of maintaining, particularly with a hard target, particularly with an asset who's in a difficult or challenging environment, Chris, and you've got limited access to them, whatever it may be. So you're really relying on clandestine communications. You don't have a lot of face-to-face meetings.
This is literally the CIA going on the Joe Rogan experience because the FBI f***ed up so hard with Kash Patel. Like, this guy is a little bit better than Kash Patel. He's at least like charismatic enough to sound convincing, but this is straight up no different than the Kash Patel interview. The only difference is like, he's at least like persuasive enough. You know what I mean? He's like a little bit more confident and a little bit calmer and doesn't look like an untrustworthy person like Kash Patel does because he's always got his eyes open like this. This is crazy. He just said the CIA doesn't do blackmail. It's just a bad idea.
And at some point, you never know when things are heading south, right? And then the next thing you know, look, that's the operational reason for trying to avoid blackmail, right? Has it ever been done? Well, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't been done,
of course,
but some.
I think he's saying it's not the best way. Blackmail is just one way. He literally just said the most common technique that the CIA and all members of law enforcement, from police all the way to federal law enforcement, use is actually not that common because it's unsustainable. What are you talking about? I just described to you the most common way that you get confidential informants. What is that? That's also kind of like blackmail. Blackmail is basically the process that you engage in if you don't put someone through any sort of criminal charges. It's the same type of coercion.
Services go to it much quicker than others do. Yeah.
And which services?
And well, again, the Russians are primary users of something like that. They've got a shotgun approach. Yeah, Israelis have been known to do that in the honeypot operations that they'll do and other things. But the Russians throw a lot of shit at the wall and see what sticks. Right? It's a very much a shotgun approach. Right? And honestly, sometimes that can work. Right?
Wasn't that kind of?
Bro talked so much about how the CIA doesn't use blackmail, or it's not the most common tool in the tool belt. Then said it's got to be Russia. He keeps implying that it's Russia and China.
There's obviously value in having all these people on your side.
Yeah.
But when you do get all this information on these people, like, what are they trying to accomplish with it? This is the question. Are they trying to get support for a policy to step down after firm finds more payments to Jeffrey Epstein? $158 million. New York Times detailed at least $75 million in payments and found that Mr. Black had paid Epstein $158 million in a 5-year period ending in 2017. He also lent Mr. Epstein more than $30 million, only $10 million of which he was paid back. Wow. So that's a guy that they got something on him.
I love this. Leon viewed.
The implication here is that blackmail doesn't work that well. And that's why the CIA doesn't use it. So don't look there, Joe. But maybe blackmail, because it doesn't work that well, a shittier intelligence agency like the Russians or the Chinese could potentially use it. Perfect narrative, except it is one that is so insane and so contradictory to like everything that anyone who's even remotely interested in conspiracy theories is aware of, that even Joe Rogan is looking at this and being like, I don't think that's the case, man. Like, I think the CIA does use blackmail, regardless of what you're saying. Now, will it actually reach a level of scrutiny from Joe that he actually starts questioning Mike Baker? Probably not. But this is basically like asking Ghislaine Maxwell. You might as well ask Ghislaine Maxwell or ask Kash Patel again. about what Jeffrey Epstein's like intelligence associations look like, or why the administration is not releasing any serious information from the files.
Epstein, as a confirmed bachelor with eclectic tastes. This was after his 2008 guilty plea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Christ.
Mr. Epstein's advice was worth perhaps $2 billion in tax savings to Mr. Black, according to the report.
Right.
What the?
But this
He's
is
like,
again,
wow, I had no idea. I certainly am not familiar with my agency's work on this. I mean, sorry, the Chinese agency's work on this, because it must be a Chinese operation, not an American one, Joe. And the reason why Trump's not releasing this information is because it's bad messaging. He really wanted to. He's just having a hard time with it, Joe. Wow, whatever this is all new information to me, Joe. Don't know about it.
and this is what Weinstein said. Eric said that there's like this guy is not. He's not good. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like he wasn't a good financial advisor.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is you can say, okay, why was he collecting people around him? Why was he doing? I mean, was he keeping a file? Right? You still have to figure out what that file looks like. Part of it could have been initially self-preservation. Right? I mean, he's engaged in all sorts of activity. He gets a few people into it, then suddenly, he doesn't look so bad, right? And he's kind of protecting himself because now I'm surrounded by people who also have to keep that secret. And so, but then the question becomes,
okay. Now we've moved on to an even more insane piece of speculation. He was just blackmailing powerful people for his own sake. That's cool. That's the third speculation. So he went with Chinese, Russian, and now maybe he was just doing it for the love of the game. Okay.
is at what point is he or somebody in his little tight circle there? Are they approached, right, by anybody who's interested in some of these folks? But we don't know because we don't know who the in these files, right? So,
or if the files even exist.
If the files even exist, and apparently, there's nothing in there according to Pam Bondi
and Cash Patel. The whole thing's nuts.
Yeah.
And then, have Bongino and Cash Patel saying he definitely killed himself. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? Okay, this just, the level of convenience. It's so convenient that the guards were asleep. So convenient that the cameras didn't work. So convenient that years later, you have a recording of the outside of the cell, but a minute is missing from it.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes?
Yeah, they found out it was like almost 3 minutes was missing. 2 minutes, like 53
It's
seconds.
like the missing Watergate tape.
Oh, I thought it was just
It
1 minute.
It did. It started off as a minute, and then
Yeah.
people kept looking in the metadata, and like, okay, it was saved this many times, and it was actually up to 3 minutes missing.
God. Okay.
That's plenty of time to kill somebody. 3 minutes is more than enough time. You
3 minutes, you could get a whole bunch of people killed by then.
Anyway,